You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept.
And now, give it up for your host of Black NewsBeat, Leslie Avila.
Welcome to the Black NewsBeat, and I'm your host, Leslie Avila. Welcome to a special celebration of Latinos. Hispanic Heritage Month is September 15th through October 15th. Today is also my birthday. I'm so excited to host the show. Today we have some amazing guests. We're going to be talking about different things that has pertained to our specific heritage as Latinos. Today we're going to have Vanessa Codorniu. We're going to have Pedro Antonetti with us as well. And then we're also going to have Helen Peguero here with us. A big shout out to DJ Prince of Melody for being Shout out to Open Stage, YPOC, and everybody else in this room and that's watching us live right now.
Dr. Campbell.
So let's get into some national news here as we sweep the world. Some of us still have family and friends back in our home countries. So it's important we do this and sweep the news and sweeping the streets. So as some of you may know, right now in Venezuela, Edmundo Gonzalez, the Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate, recently arrived to Spain to seek asylum. Disrupting the results of his country's election, Gonzalez fled his country just hours after resigning. This political upheaval is a major blow for the people of Venezuela. They've been going to the streets to make sure that the president right now, Nicolas Maduro, knows that they are not happy with what's going on right now. Today is a sad day for democracy in Venezuela, said Josep Borrell, the European foreign policy chief. Let's see what's going on in other countries. Right now in Ecuador, indigenous people are not happy with something that just happened. The U.S. Department of State decided to applaud Ecuador's entry into the Mineral Security Partnership Forum. They prioritize large-scale mining over the protection of the environment and indigenous land and indigenous rights. This forum claims to uphold high environmental standards, but fails to account for the irreversible long-term damage that oil mining at this large scale does to our lands, especially in Ecuador and especially on indigenous lands throughout South Central America. In other news, in Mexico, controversial judicial reform is happening right now. An interesting development has taken place in Mexico. In an unprecedented yet controversial move, a proposed bill will change how judges are chosen in Mexico right now. But not everyone is on board with this move in regards to this judicial reform. Among its supporters, most notably President Andrés Manuel López, claims that this new measure will help place accountability during judges' vetting process. But others involved think that this new judicial process will negatively affect the vetting process when appointing new judges. In a statement of opposition to the bill, U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, Ken Salazar, states popular direct election of judges is a major risk to the functioning of Mexico's democracy? What do you think? And lastly, while we sweep the news internationally, we land right back here in Harrisburg. Happy birthday to the Whitaker Center. Here at home, Harrisburg's crown jewel, the Whitaker Center, turns 25 this year. Now, under the guidance of Mary Oliveira, the Whitaker Center, she's also Latina, by the way. The Whitaker Center downtown is Harrisburg's anchor for the arts and sciences, and it's already in full celebratory mode. This week, you can join in the fun by checking out all the events the Whitaker Center has planned. Everything from musical showcases to a block party is on deck. And for more information, you can go to whitakercenter.org to find out and join. So up next, we have our Media and Melanin segment, which I am extremely excited about. Anita Lucia Praño landed in Harrisburg for Ecuadorian independence celebration. And if you're Ecuadorian, your mom and your dad were blasting Anita Lucia at 6 a.m. in the morning and at 8 p.m. at night. So this is huge. RFCM Entertainment is Harrisburg's newest entertainment company, and they have been inviting huge headliners from Ecuador since 2022 when they first brought Ecuadorian independence celebration to Harrisburg. Yeah. So on August 10th, Anita was the highlight of the evening as she came and celebrated with all Ecuadorians from around Harrisburg, Mechanicsburg. People were driving 1 to 2 hours to watch our traditional and cultural music, and especially the headliner, Anita Lucia Praño. So this year, Hispanic Heritage Month is a little bit more special because the first Afro-Latina woman has been printed on the U.S. quarter. Azúcar! Yes! Celia Cruz, the queen of salsa, will be featured on the U.S. quarter. This isn't just about honoring an incredible music legend. It's about recognizing Celia Cruz as the first Afro-Latina woman to grace U.S. currency, from her infectious azúcar to breaking barriers for Latinos and Afro-Latinos in the entertainment industry. Celia's impact has been profound. So her legacy is going to be represented today and forever on the U.S. quarter. Let's hear it up for Celia. Right now in theaters, you can go and watch Beetlejuice. For a lot, this is really nostalgic. We've been waiting 30 years for the return of Beetlejuice. And the main star in this film is Jenna Ortega, a rising star and a young Latina woman. Jenna Ortega has been really vocal about navigating her Latinx identity, which hits home for a lot of us. In various interviews, Jenna has shared her challenges, like she can't speak fluent Spanish, and sometimes she feels caught between two worlds. And many Latinos and Latinas resonate with her story of belonging. But despite these challenges, Jenna is thriving. Right now, Beetlejuice is one of the top movies in the theaters selling out. So I hope that by sharing this story, that you know that even though your identity is complex, if you were born in America but have Latino parents, we can overcome all of that and still thrive and showcase our skills and our passions as we navigate through this world. Amazing. And last but not least, in Media and Melanin, one of my favorite stories today. In UFC news, we have the underdog, Eunice Duben from Venezuela, just went on Dana White's Contender Series. And she was the underdog, mind you. I think she was 13-1 underdog. But on September 3rd, just last Tuesday, in 1 minute and 10 seconds of the first round, she knocks out her opponent and receives a UFC contract from Dana White himself on the spot right after her knockout. For UFC fans, for Venezuelan residents, this is big news, and this is time to be proud of Venezuela, of women in UFC specifically, and of Dana White's Contender Series, where anybody can go on and showcase that they can beat somebody up and get the next UFC contract. And we used to have Black Newsbeat has a segment called "There's Nothing to Do in Harrisburg," but for Latino Heritage, Hispanic Heritage Month, we have "There's Nowhere Good to Eat in Harrisburg," which is a lie. Telling you right now. So, number one, the grand opening of Cañaris, an Ecuadorian restaurant, opens on September 14th in Steelton, PA. Cañaris. Yeah. I implore you all to go to their grand opening on September 14th and try something new you've never had. We all have had main Spanish dishes, but an Ecuadorian dish hits home. Number two, next week on September 26th, YPOC is having their happy hour at Cuora Lounge, a new Dominican spot that blends in modern flavors with authentic Spanish cuisine. They have a bar, they're a lounge. At night, on weekends, they become a club. So on September 26th from 5 to 8 p.m., I invite you to join us at YPOC Happy Hour celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month at this delicious restaurant. And last but not least, one of my favorites. This restaurant has been open for a while. I think it's been about 3 to 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know if they just added this to the menu or I just became aware of it. Rice and Beans on 17th and Dairy Street has Dominican sushi. Yeah. If you've never had Dominican sushi, this kind of seems like a lame announcement or something not really exciting. Dominican sushi is crazy. Have you ever had plátano in a sushi? Yes, okay. Some yes, some no. I invite you to go to Rice and Beans to check out the Dominican sushi on their menu right now. And that's all for Just My Face. In a little bit, we'll have our first guest, Vanessa Codorniu, here to talk to us about Hispanic Heritage Month, ancestral healing, and Latino improv. Check us out.
La Tiendita is Harrisburg's premier store for everything Ecuador. In this store, you will find a variety of cultural and traditional products and ingredients like chocolate that you can't find anywhere else in Harrisburg. La Tiendita also ships packages directly to Ecuador. If you have any family or friend, you can also do a direct money wire transfer to their bank account in Ecuador. La Tiendita is open every morning at 8:30 a.m. and you can find them at 3126 Sycamore Street, right here in Harrisburg. Leslie Avila just published her book, Journey to Freedom, and states, if you love women, read this book. And if you hate women, read this book as well. Have you ever seen such eyes? These eyes so wise, these eyes that mesmerize. You're invited to grab a cup of delicious, delightful hot tea while you read this book in order to enjoy to its maximum capacity. Welcome to my delightful world. I invite you to leave your world behind and step into mine for just a period of time. This book was written for you. You can purchase it now at delightisfull.com.
Gabby. You look great. I love it. And we're back here. Thank you for staying with us. We have an amazing guest right now with us, Vanessa Codorniu. So if you can introduce yourself to everybody, who are you and what do you do? I know you wear so many hats, so I'm excited for you to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you for having me, Leslie, and happy birthday. Love you so much. So first of all, I'm a New York City transplant. I came here about 7 years ago. I'm South American, Argentina, Peruvian background, and I am like an ancestral family healer from like generations. So my family always believed in spirituality and cleansings and limpias. We didn't talk about it, so I'm the first one to really come out and share it with the world. And what I do, I'm also known as the Biz Bruja. Now, a lot of Latinos don't like the word bruja. They're scared of it. But I decided to call myself that to reclaim it, that it's just a woman who's connected to her own self, to community, who cares and nurtures the world and is aligned with her purpose in the world. So that's how I look at it. And so the work that I do is intuitive work, it's clinical hypnosis work, it's ancestral healing, and I also support people to build their businesses online because my business has been online 12 years now and just full-time online. It's like I'm not really located at like a brick and mortar, and that's where I see people all over the world in Spanish and English.
That's so amazing. So, you know, ancestral healing is really important.
Yes.
I started to do my own set of healing about 7 years ago. And so today's my birthday. So it's really, you know, it's really powerful right now. So in your line of work, like, what are some of the patterns that you have seen in the people that you've worked with that have allowed you to really believe, like, no, the work that I do is important and I will stand here and stay here?
Yeah.
Because I know you feel like that.
Oh, I
so,
do.
Like, how did you get there? What are the
do.
things you've been seeing?
I mean, I think it's hard to have a business period, and I think it's hard to be a healer period. That doesn't go along the traditional path, and there's nothing wrong with the traditional path, but some of us are meant to do it in a different way, do it our own way. I think that what I've seen for myself, you know, I was taught to be humble. As a South American, I was taught to bajar la cabeza, you know, to lower your head and like let other people like move ahead and do all these things. And one of the patterns that I've noticed in the people I work with that are, by the way, in LA, in Texas, in New Jersey, New York, South America, is that sometimes we're too humble for our own good, right? We're too humble for our own good, right? Right? And it's like we need to own, and you know, we don't notice that other people are more brash and they're confident the way they step up to their gifts and who they are. But because we've come from other countries, or maybe we're Mexican, you know, that is this country, but then we were told we were not from this country, that we have to heal that whole thing of not good enough, I'm too much, I'm not enough. Or even the fear of being seen and being criticized. Like I knew my abuelita, my grandmothers on both sides, my mom had intuitive abilities, my mom was a journalist, they were healers. They never shared it because, you know, they were afraid of the pitchforks. Now listen, you may laugh, but there's so many communities all over the world where anybody who's doing anything that's not the religious, you know, norm is going to be attacked. And so it's really important for us to heal those patterns of there's not any good men. I'm supposed to be a really strong woman and do it all myself, because this is what I see with a lot of Latinas, right? We don't take in the fact that there's systemic racism, there's lack of equity, and so sometimes that drove families apart. Sometimes a family member had to stay back in the country, the other one came to America, families were torn apart. Right. And when we're trying to build a business online, it's also about visibility. Right? Because some businesses are hidden, like you have a name and you hide behind it. But a lot of the businesses that I'm seeing and the people I'm working with, we have to be front and center in front of the camera. Right here. Right? And we're not used to that. Right, we're not used to it. We're like, right? If we're, and remember too, like a lot of our parents, are you a lawyer? Are you a teacher?
A doctor?
A doctor? Are you marrying a doctor? You know,
a dentist?
Right? All the and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, hey, that's your thing. But then there's some of us creative entrepreneurs that are going a different way. So having the courage to stand in our gifts and to understand that there's actually a market for us. But the only way that they're going to see us is if we actually allow ourselves to be seen. So that's really a big, and when I work with people, when I do ancestral healing work, right, and that is in the form of hypnosis or ceremony, we're going to talk about a healing circle that's coming up. People get to be seen in a circle. We get to be witnessed. We get to see that we have wisdom within us. We don't have to do it alone, that there's a community that will support us and that our gifts are valid. And we need to see that and support each other because we are needed in this world.
100%.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, as a Latina woman, I know that you have talked a lot about how improv has helped you. And so you just seeing a lot about visibility and being seen. Like, we're literally on a stage right now talking.
Yeah.
So, like, how does improv help people be seen? And especially, I mean, the Latina community and Latino community that you've been working with, how have you seen improv, like, help that?
You know, I love the question. And I want to admit, so back, everybody's like, you must have done improv in New York. I'm like, well, I performed, I directed, I acted. But when I went to an improv show, I saw a lot of white dudes bang like imaginary beer cans on their forehead back in the day, like decades ago. And I was like, oh no, this is white people-ish. And you know, that wasn't my culture, right? I was like, this is raro for me. Esto no es raro que voy a hacer aquí.
Yeah.
So I said no and I rejected it. But I also realized my own like ancestral thing about as a Latina woman, you have to be respected. You have to be serious. You have to be educated. It's like we don't have the permission to be ridiculous and silly.
Yes.
Because we're going to be disrespected. It's like first we're sexy, we're objectified, and now we're going to be crazy and fall on the floor and be like, you know, do all the things that we do on stage. So for me, when I came here, I did it because I didn't have my community, I didn't have friends, and I needed an outlet. But I realized level 2 or 3, I sat there and I'm like, I started to get tears in my eyes. I was like, oh my God, I never let myself fully be silly and ridiculous on stage because I had the pressure of being intelligent, responsible. I can be both. And so for me, I want to show this and invite the Latino community to be like, this is not white people-ish. This is for all of us, for all cultures. Back in the day, right, when we were coming out of the caves, we were all always doing improv. We were improvising the wheel. We were improvising huts and buildings and creations and fire. And so it belongs to all of us. So I think that improv is an amazing tool for everyone, but especially women and Latinos and anyone of color to step in and be like, hey, I belong here. And I don't have pressure to be funny. I'm going to be here. And also, somebody has my back. I think it's very healing to feel like you don't have to do everything yourself, right? Because as Latinos, don't we feel like, especially older daughters, like we have to push through and do everything?
Yeah.
On the improv stage, you have people who have your back.
I love it so much.
So
That's so
it's
exciting.
important.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So, I love it. So, if someone wants to get involved in the improv community right now, is there a Latino improv group, night, webpage, event? What is going on? How can we get involved? What?
Yes. Okay, this has been a dream, and I have to shout out the Harrisburg Improv Theater because Jake and Summers Compton, hello, I love you, un besito. They're really about inclusivity. They're really about diversity. They have amazing scholarships, right? DEI scholarships. And finally, we have enough Latinos. And so October 11th, that's a Friday night.
October 11th.
October 11th. You better come, okay? Por favor, don't make me go out there and drag you. Get the chancla and smack you on the head.
Get the chancla.
The chancla, honey. And we're going to have from 7 to 8, we're going to have something where we're going to invite the audience up. We're going to do some games. You get to play. You get to experience what I'm talking about here.
Wow.
And then we have a show, and we are Los Complicados, okay?
Woo!
Right? So it's because we are complicated. We are complicated. Somebody came to me like, I don't speak Spanish, Vanessa. I listen to heavy metal. Am I Latino? I'm like, yes, you are. That's your heritage.
Yeah.
Like, we're not all going ding, 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 ding. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
But, and so we want to turn the stereotypes on their heads and like play with it. So October 11th, please make it out to Harrisburg Improv Theater.
Harrisburg Improv Theater, October 11th.
Yes,
at
from
7
to
p.m.
9:30.
And they can just walk up to the Hit Theater on 3rd Street here in Harrisburg and watch Los Complicados be
Los Complicados. We're going to be complicated.
Yes. Thank you so much for being up here with me and for sharing your gifts with the world and being who you are today. And you've impacted my life in so many big ways. I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll catch you with the next guest coming on.
¿Qué tal? Mi nombre es Néstor Romero. Nuestro objetivo es el servicio a la comunidad que desea tener su casa propia. Contar con un hogar es muy importante para nosotros, por ello estoy preparándome cada día más para servirles con todo profesionalismo y responsabilidad para que ustedes, mis clientes, se sientan satisfechos con mi trabajo. Junto con mi equipo estamos listos para prestarles todos nuestros servicios. Nuestro equipo puede orientarles y llenar sus expectativas de todas las personas interesadas en comprar y vender una casa. Cuentan con mis conexiones, inspectores, prestamistas, constructores y carpinteros quienes están dispuestos a hacer realidad sus sueños. Sí se puede.
Happy birthday. I love you so much. Hello. Welcome back. Thank you for staying here. We have Pedro Antonetti with us right now for this next segment, and he is going to be talking to us about bomba. And I'm really excited. I'm fairly new to bomba, but I have had some people in my life that have, taught bomba and are really passionate about it. So I want to ask you, Pedro, how long have you played bomba? How long have you known about bomba in your life, and what kind of impact has it had on you, for those people who don't know the kind of deep impact that bomba can have on someone?
So bomba is not a bomb, first and foremost.
Bomba, not a bomb. Good.
We don't deal with explosives. Bomba is a genre of Afro-Puerto Rican music, Afro-Boricua music. It's been around for about 500 years, actually. The slaves that were brought from Africa as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, they brought that aspect of the drum to the New World. And so in order for them to be able to, navigate the craziness of being enslaved and working in the sugarcane fields all day and all the other oppressiveness, they basically gathered together to basically allow themselves to be able to just let out all of that frustration and all of that craziness that was happening in their lives. When I started to learn a little bit about that, historically, I mean, I was born in Puerto Rico. My family, we were imports as well. I was raised in Philadelphia area, Philadelphia, PA, and my wife and I basically came here in 2009. But the music was always there, but I didn't really do anything with the music until my 40th birthday, and I'm not going to say how old I am. But at age 40, I said, you know what, I would like to do something special for myself. And as I'm looking at what I love and what I've been passionate about as far as the music, learning the different aspects of percussion and the history and the impact of all of that, I said, you know what, I'm going to give myself a gift, and I'm going to make my own bomba drums. And so I basically started that process.
You made your own.
I made my own bomba drums. My dad and I drove to New Jersey. We got the barrels from a guy who used to make wine.
Wow.
I brought them back. I studied and, trying to figure all this out as far as how you make them and gathering materials and all of that for about, I'm guessing about 3 months. And then finally I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And this is where my journey basically started.
Wow.
And so I started basically playing at that time the bomba drums, but I also started making them myself. I'd make my own drums.
Wow. That's amazing. So is that when Bombariqueños was born? Or I know Bombariqueños is your bomba group.
Yes.
So when did that start? And when did you decide, not only am I going to make drums, I'm going to make a group. I'm going to teach people bomba, the drumming and the dancing.
Right.
When did that happen?
Well, it happened here. And it's crazy how, when sometimes, you don't know how things are going to play out in reference to your dreams, your goals, what you want to accomplish. For me, the main thing is just really trying to maintain the culture, because I was looking around in this area when we moved here, and I was like, where are the, the Puerto Ricans that play and dance and sing this stuff? Like, where are they? And it was like, they're not here. And actually, there was a group here that existed at one time,
Okay.
Danzante.
Okay.
And Buron, who is the other partner here with this project, he used to be part of that, and they closed their doors down because the building had issues and all this craziness, but it basically died down.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, again, you look around and who's doing it, and it's like, okay, then you have to do it, because if nobody's doing it, then then you have to do it. So it's been a step up kind of an experience for me, and it's great because I love my culture. I love what music does to people, what music does for people, and passing the torch is the most important thing, I think. And if nobody again is doing that, then if you want it to continue, then you have to step up and do it. And that's basically where my heart is as far as learning to figure all that stuff out, all the music and the different beats and the movements of the dancers and all of that stuff, so that the torch again can be passed on to the younger generation, and they can learn actually also the craft of making drums, because I'm not just going to show them the beats and all of that and how to play and all that. I mean, it's going to get to the other level to be able to teach them also how to make your own instruments.
Wow.
And so, it's not just, the basic. Is going to get deeper as far as the history, as far as the why, as far as the different aspects of the whole gamut of it, because it's very, very intricate and very, very particular and very, very complicated, actually. The whole aspect of the music.
Amazing.
One of the cool things that I learned recently is because there's several rhythms. There's one that's called Hollandais, which is Hollandais is basically the name that they gave to this particular rhythm, because it was the rhythm that they imitated the Europeans. So they were kind of making fun of the Europeans, the enslavers, if you may.
Wow.
So they developed this one dance in particular just for that, just to kind of make fun of them. So that's kind of cool. And then there's also one rhythm that's a little bit on the faster side called Sika.
Okay.
And Sika basically means cleansing. And the person that was before me talked about healing and all of that stuff. And that particular rhythm, it's about just dancing to the point where you don't care. You don't, whatever happens, but you're just letting out all this energy because it's bottled up inside. And so that's just two of the aspects of the music that, again, is very spiritual, is very freeing, and it's also very give and take as far as the rhythms and the dancers playing with the drummers, and the drummers are trying to figure out what the dancers doing and the movements and all that. And it's a really intricate play of, let's see if you can follow me with what I'm doing with the dancing. And the drum is like, okay, I'm ready. Okay, do it. And and trying to catch up and try to do all this stuff is really cool. So it's very, very playful.
Yeah.
But it's very, very. I mean, it's just fun, and it's part of the culture, and it's very festive.
That's so amazing. And that actually leads me to my next question. Like, in your years of doing it, of learning it yourself, and I'm assuming teaching others, whether it was friends or showcasing it, like what are some of the cathartic experiences, if you could name one or two, that you have experienced for yourself, or maybe someone else go through as they're learning and doing the bomba, like the dance or the drumming? Because I know it can be very cathartic. Like you said, it's very cleansing and healing. I mean, so. We have to give thanks to Mama Africa. I mean, they brought the drums, they brought the culture, they brought the beat and the aspect of, all of that for all of us on this part of the world. Thank God for the Europeans. The way that they did it was a little crazy, but they still got the African stuff here. And one of the aspects of African music in particular that I love is the concept of the spirit of the three spirits that live within a drum. There's an aspect of the wood, the trees that were once alive that are now dead. That's spirit number one. The spirit of the animal that was also the skin of the animal, that's the second spirit. That's the second one there too. And then the third one is the spirit of the crafter, the artisan, the one that took all these different things and put it together and made it work. And so when you hit the membrane, you wake up the spirits, they come alive, and they bring back life to you. And that to me was, because I experienced that myself, researching it and looking at the different aspects of not only our culture, but where does this really come from? Yeah.
And understanding that is a concept that is very, very deeply rooted in African roots, which is part of what bomba is. And I was like, oh my gosh, like no wonder we can't like sit still when we're hearing the drums or the movement of the percussion. I mean, you got to move something. You got to move a toe or two, or a head. I mean, because it gives life back to us. And I think that is the aspect, I think, of music internationally that is very, very just powerful.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what country you're from. It doesn't matter what your background is. You play music and it brings people together,
That's so special. That's so amazing. So I know that Bombariqueños has a workshop coming up.
Yes, we're very excited. The young Black professionals are allowing us
Young professionals of color.
Young professionals of color, thank you, are allowing us to be able to work on a project that's coming up. I believe it's going to be Sunday, October the 6th.
Yep.
And so we're going to be able to allow for, again, this, genre of music that's just, ingrained in us. And there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in this area. And it's not just, you're Puerto Rican, you got to show up. No. And just it's only for Puerto Ricans. No. Amen. All of that stuff is out the door, invited. Out the window.
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I started playing music at age 32 in 2001. Started with the Latin instruments, and then a year later I started Middle Eastern percussion, and a year later I started with West African percussion, and the year after that, in 2004, that's when I saw the Kodo Drummers of Japan come to Philadelphia at the Kimmel Center, and Olodum, which is a Afro-Brazilian group from Bahia. They did the first Brazil Day festival in Philadelphia that year. And it was both of those events that just totally just like changed my life, because I understood at that point that, again, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter who you are. If the music hits you and you do what you need to do with that and take it in and do something with it and give it back out, because that's the power and the gift of music. It's not for you to keep, it's for you to give away.
So people can expect at your workshop to learn drumming,
yes,
learn dancing,
correct,
learn a little bit of the history,
yes,
and actually engage in it at the end with a little bit of a performance, a showcase within each other.
Absolutely. The drums are going to call and you're going to move something.
Wonderful.
So bring
October
your dancing
6th,
shoes.
Bombariqueños at Source Creative Space, YPOC and Hispanic Heritage Month team is having the Bomba y Plena workshop. So yeah, thank you so much, Pedro, for being on here and sharing.
Thank you for having us. Thank you appreciate it.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll catch you here next in a little bit, not next time, right now. Stay here.
Call 911. I'm just gonna apply some pressure, okay?
When minutes matter, you have the power to save a life. Learn more at minutesmatter.upmc.org.
Welcome back to the Black NewsBeat Hispanic Heritage Month edition. Our last guest with us, I went to college with her at Penn State University. Yes. That's where we met. Shout out. Her name is Helen Peguero, and she just wrote a children's book that I think can hit home for a lot of Latino parents, Latino young people growing up. And I'm so proud and inspired and honestly excited for you to be here to show everybody. Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about what what did you write? What is it?
So I wrote a bilingual children's book. It is titled Elena and Her Curly Adventures, Elena y sus aventuras rizadas. It is written in English and Spanish. It's not targeted just for the Latino community, but I do know that there's a lack in bilingual books, and I wanted to, make that difference and kind of add to that, considering that I'm also a teacher. I work with the youth, I work with children, and one of my main goals is always to make a positive impact in the lives of young children, specifically children who also came from similar backgrounds as me, who are children of immigrant parents who potentially have a language barrier and, many other barriers that may come with being children of immigrants.
That's a wonderful. And I didn't know that you were a teacher, so I'm sure that being a teacher and working with kids inspired you even further beyond your own experience to write this book.
Right.
So, I mean, can you tell us about what's your inspiration for writing the book? Maybe your own and other experiences.
Yeah, so I began teaching in New York City. That's originally where I'm from.
Shout out New York.
Yep. Inner city schools was always my target, again, just because of that lack of support, potentially just making that difference, knowing that for sure that difference is going to be needed there. So just seeing, I guess, the struggles of children believing in themselves, having that stigma, the negative stigma of, they come from low-income families, they don't know this, they don't know that. So ultimately, that really led me to really want to, again, establish that difference. And ultimately what the book is about is establishing and learning self-love, understanding that no matter what anybody thinks of you, no matter how different you are or what sets you apart from anyone, your self-love is what's most important. And that you should always believe in yourself, regardless of physical looks, regardless of accent, anything. Self-love is the most important.
That's so wonderful. So, and Curly Adventures, does the book only focus on her curly hair, or what? Could you tell us maybe a little sneak peek? But you should go buy her book. But a little sneak peek into the book about what's maybe another struggle that she went through on her adventure towards self-love.
I would say it mainly focuses on the aspect of self-love and really having that confidence to believe in herself. I would say a little sneak peek. Little, because
you need to buy her book. How can they buy your book right now, too?
So it's available through Amazon and also my website. So you go to www.com or www.helenpeguero.com and you can buy it through there as well. So awesome. Amazon and my website.
So excited.
But I did incorporate a little bit of culture in there. So I come from Dominican descent.
Dominicana!
So I incorporated a little bit of dance in there. She was able to gain her confidence through the act of a talent show in school. And she performed the dance of merengue, which is the traditional dance of
Vamos merengue!
Yep. So here's a little sneak peek.
That's so beautiful.
I can read a little bit of it.
Okay.
Elena wore a folkloric dress and a rose on her hair that made her curly hair stand out. While dancing, Elena begins to feel confident and embrace who she is. I love myself just the way I am, screamed Elena with joy.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's so exciting. And as an Afro-Latina yourself, as a Dominicana, do you feel like if you would have had this book earlier, would it have made a big impact? Are these some of the struggles that you went through when you were younger as well?
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't say I've always loved my hair.
Okay,
is that clear? I love my curly hair. Yes. I embrace my hair, but I feel like for sure though, when I actually transitioned from New York City to Pennsylvania, the change of culture, for those who don't know, New York is very diverse. It's very easy for you to find kind of like your little clique wherever you're at. Versus coming to a small town in Pennsylvania where it's mainly, predominantly Caucasian. It's a little bit harder, I would say, to kind of find your place in fitting in, quote unquote, especially when you're in middle school, high school, and you're really learning to accept your self-identity. I would say for sure I would have appreciated something like this to kind of really know that I'm proud to be Dominican. I'm proud to be Hispanic. I'm proud of every feature that I have.
That's so. And if there's one message that you want to send out to young folks that are maybe listening to this, or even, you know, parents that are going through maybe a child that comes home and says, you know, I do know people that, you know, have as a kid come home and say, I hate my hair, mommy, or I hate my nose, or I hate my skin color. Like, you know, is there something that, you know, a message that you want to give out?
Yes. So it's actually also in the book. So positive affirmations. I feel like that's something that we should definitely teach our children, particularly to remind them of those important things. So as funny as it may sound, even just teaching your child to stand in the mirror with confidence and say, I am happy. I love myself. I love my hair. And really focusing on those features that they probably struggle with, and really kind of like helping them through it until they kind of learn to accept it. Also just really engaging with your child, you know, checking in with them after school and saying, hey, like, you know, how was school today? Or, you know, the kind of the cliche way of saying, or, you know, going more deeper into what struggles did they go through, or just really speaking with them to kind of understand what that they matter regardless of what anyone tells them.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Helen, for coming on. Thank you for writing this book, which I feel like is so important. And yeah, go buy her book at www.helenpeguero.com. And yeah, thank you so much. All right. We'll catch you in a little bit for our wrap up.
Leslie Avila just published her book, Journey to Freedom, and states, if you love women, read this book. And if you hate women, read this book as well. Have you ever seen such eyes? These eyes so wise, these eyes that mesmerize. You're invited to grab a cup of delicious, delightful hot tea while you read this book in order to enjoy to its maximum capacity. Welcome to my delightful world. I invite you to leave your world behind and step into mine for just a period of time. This book was written for you. You can purchase it now at delightisfull.com.
This is our wrap up. This is the end of the show. And I just want to make sure I say thank you to everybody in this room and our live audience, making this show absolutely amazing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with us. Another shout out to Open Stage, YPOC, DJ Prince of Melody. And a big shout out to Vintage Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit styled me up and down today. So Hispanic Heritage Month, as I've been mentioning all episode long, is September 15th to October 15th. During the whole month, YPOC and an amazing group of small business owners and entrepreneurs, just like Vanessa, Pedro, and myself, we are hosting a long month of events. So in September, we have about we have 3 events in September. In October, we have about 5 events to wrap it all up. If you don't follow any of us on Instagram, make sure you follow YPOCHPG. Make sure you follow Delight is Full, The Biz Bruja, Source Creative Space. Hispanic Heritage Month events are all month long in Harrisburg. We have about 7 or 8 events that are just going to carry us through. Woo! And we're really going to be able to showcase and show off our heritage, our culture, our traditions, and we're going to be able to share laughs, hugs, smiles, and dance a little bit. Make sure you come out and celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with us, y'all. Thank you so much for an amazing show tonight. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless.